My daughter did not deserve this, and I want the killer to go to jail forever.
She was a bright soul. Crystal, wow. I can't believe I'm even doing this right now. Crystal was an awesome person. I talked to her a couple hours right before everything had happened.
This is 21-year-old Crystal Crockett, and these are the twins she had given birth to. On June 14th, 2021, around 9 p.m., surveillance footage captured Crystal Crockett walking into Rush University Medical Center alongside a male companion. At around 6:15 a.m. the following morning, the same cameras recorded them again, but this time, leaving the hospital. Just a few minutes later, police would respond to a 911 call about multiple gunshots heard in a secluded parking lot behind an apartment building on the 4500 block of South Wabash Avenue. When officers arrived, they discovered a devastating scene. A young woman had been shot multiple times, but what they didn't expect was to find the lifeless body of Crystal, the same woman who just hours earlier had given birth to premature twins. In fact, this case bears an eerie resemblance to the one I covered just last weekend. Do you remember the 19-year-old mother of four who was shot dead moments after giving birth to twins? If you've not watched this, I'll leave a link at the end of this video. Now, let's look at the life and death of Crystal Crockett. Bronzeville, Chicago. A relatively peaceful neighborhood where most families had lived for generations. The kind of place where neighbors greeted each other by name, and help was always just a doorstep away. Among them was 21-year-old Crystal Crockett, a young woman whose presence left a lasting impression on everyone who knew her. Crystal's journey began in Downers Grove, Illinois, where she was raised alongside her siblings by their mother, Kylia Robinson. From a young age, Crystal stood out. She was described by her loved ones as kind, vibrant, deeply compassionate, and quietly resilient. Her mother, Kylia, often said she was the sweet, shy one, but always incredibly thoughtful. Described by loved ones as kind, vibrant, and deeply compassionate,
she loved taking care of people.
Crystal had a natural gift for caring for others. It came as no surprise when she chose to pursue a career in nursing. She decided to move to Bronzeville, Chicago to achieve that goal. She began working as a home health aide and was pursuing a nursing degree at Malcolm X College in Chicago. Nursing wasn't just a profession to her. It felt like a calling she would never live to fulfill. She had moved into the city not only to follow her dreams, but also to help care for her grandmother, as she had done for her grandfather before he passed. Her sister said Crystal genuinely loved caring for people, and that passion showed in everything she did. Family meant everything to her, and so did her dream of helping others. Whether through her studies, her job, or her caregiving, Crystal poured her heart into service with quiet strength and dedication. So it wasn't surprising when she caught the eye of someone who would change her life for better or worse. In the summer of 2020, 21-year-old Crystal met this man, 31-year-old Elijah Clippard. Despite their 10-year age difference, the two quickly formed a connection. She was drawn to his charm and confidence. Elijah seemed mature, stable, everything Crystal thought she needed. He showered her with attention. Elijah was charming, attentive, and always knew how to make her laugh. And at first, it felt like love. And most of all, he seemed to support her goals, but life had other plans. In late 2020, Crystal found out she was pregnant. The news brought a wave of emotions, shock, fear, and excitement all at once. Though young, Crystal embraced the idea of becoming a mother. She began imagining a future with Elijah and their baby, holding on to hope that this new chapter would bring them closer. But behind the smiles, not everything was as it seemed. In March 2021, 21-year-old Crystal Crockett became a mother to her twin girls, whom she named Isla and Italy. But heartbreakingly, the twins were born severely premature, just 24 to 25 weeks into her pregnancy, and weighed barely over a pound each. Doctors warned the family of the risks, but Crystal wasn't giving up. She was at Rush University Medical Center every single day, walking through those glass doors with anxiety and hope, comforting her babies, singing to them, reading to them, letting them hear her voice, even when they were too small to open their eyes. but hoping that, as long as she showered the twins with love, they would continue to grow. Thankfully, Crystal didn't have to go through the journey alone. She was surrounded by a support system of caring family and friends. Their presence alone was very comforting and gave her the strength to keep going when things got really tough. To those closest to her, Crystal was nothing short of a supermom. Even when her postpartum recovery left her body exhausted and raw, and the mounting financial stress loomed heavy in her mind, she never complained. She simply got up each morning, dressed up, and returned to her babies with a determined smile. Her sister would later recount how Crystal would light up whenever she spoke about finally bringing the girls home and decorating their nursery. Despite the overwhelming circumstances, Crystal believed this was the start of the future she'd always wanted, a family of her own, full of love and possibility. But her girls weren't the only heartbreak she was going through. When Crystal got pregnant, she hoped Elijah, the man she loved, would embrace fatherhood and build a family with her. But she was wrong. She dreamed of raising their children together, believing the pregnancy would bring them closer. At first, Elijah seemed supportive, but as the months passed, that support didn't last. Elijah started becoming moody and would raise his voice at any slight provocation. Crystal's family would later say that she had grown afraid of him. Elijah, they claimed, was controlling. He didn't like to be told no. In hindsight, family members would reflect that he had always been a little moody, a little sensitive, but something inside him changed during those months. Crystal, who rarely opened up about her feelings, had reportedly grown anxious in the relationship, but she kept going for her daughters. Her family quickly grew concerned. They noticed she wasn't as cheerful as they knew her to be, and when she finally opened up about the challenges she was facing, they pleaded with her to walk away before it got worse. But life was already testing Crystal in ways her heart wasn't prepared for. In March 2021, when her twin daughters arrived, shockingly early, barely 24 weeks gestation, tiny and fragile at less than 2 pounds each. The long hospital stays, the endless monitoring, and the constant fear. This only deepened Elijah's resentment. What should have been a time of unity became a trigger for his frustration. The daily hospital visits, the constant worry, the fragile hope. It overwhelmed him. But Crystal wasn't ready to give up. She believed in the man she'd fallen for, the one she thought was just overwhelmed, not dangerous. Little did she know what was about to happen. On the night of June 14, 2021, 3 months after giving birth, surveillance footage captured Crystal and Elijah together at Rush University Medical Center. Like many nights before, they had come to visit their premature twin girls, who were still fighting for their lives in the NICU. The footage showed the couple entering the hospital around 9 p.m. To outsiders, it may have seemed like a couple navigating the strain of new parenthood. But to those who studied the footage later, something was different. Elijah barely spoke. His body language was closed off. He didn't make eye contact with Crystal, and he appeared agitated, almost as if he were somewhere else entirely. But a quiet storm was building, one that no one saw coming, because just hours later, Crystal would be found dead. The following morning, on June 15th at around 6:15 a.m., Crystal had kissed her girls goodbye, as she always did, but unlike every other day, she spent a few more minutes watching them as she had the desperate urge to pick them up, hold them tight, and never let go. She had no idea why she felt that way, but the feeling was so strong that it took her more than a few minutes to convince herself to walk out of the door. After all, she would be back to see them the next day. But what Crystal didn't know was she would never get to hug or kiss her girls again. At around 6:15 a.m., Crystal and Elijah were seen once again on surveillance footage, walking out of Rush University Medical Center. They got into Elijah's car and drove off. But instead of heading home, something else happened. Elijah could be seen driving to a secluded parking lot behind an apartment building in the 4500 block of South Wabash Avenue, just a few blocks from where Crystal had once lived. What happened next was cold and calculated. Surveillance footage captured Elijah exiting the vehicle with a gun in his hand. Prosecutors said he appeared agitated, pacing slightly and scanning his surroundings, as if to make sure no one was there. Then, without warning, he opened fire. Smoke filled the car as shots rang out in rapid succession. Crystal, still seated, tried to escape, but it was no use. Elijah allegedly dragged her out of the vehicle and shot her again. this time in the head, before fleeing from the scene. A nearby resident, startled by the gunfire, rushed outside. What they found was devastating. They found 21-year-old Crystal Crockett lying on the ground, barely breathing. They immediately called 911. First responders arrived within minutes, but there was little they could do. It was too late. Crystal Crockett was pronounced dead at the scene. She was just 21 years old, a young mother who had spent the night before whispering to her premature daughters in the NICU, unaware it would be her last. Just hours earlier, she had been full of hope, making plans for when her girls could finally come home. No one imagined that by morning, her life would be stolen so violently, most especially by the father of her baby girls.
New at 10 tonight, we are hearing from the family of a young mother who was gunned down 3 months after giving birth to premature twins. Tonight, her boyfriend is charged with murder, and the baby girls are still in the hospital without their mother by their side.
My daughter did not deserve this, and I want the to go to jail forever.
A grieving mother and the siblings of Crystal Crockett came to Chicago Police Headquarters from Downers Grove today to speak exclusively to ABC7's Michelle Gallardo. Crystal was just 2 years away from getting her nursing degree at Malcolm X College and was thrilled to be a new mom to little Isla and Italy.
Crystal was really happy to be a mom. She was super excited. It's like soon as she became a mom, she hit the ground running. She loved taking care of people. She loved taking care of my grandmother. She worked as a home health aide for my grandfather before he passed. And she just loved her job. And she just always liked nursing.
Prosecutors say the father of the babies, 31-year-old Elijah Clippard, Crystal in cold blood in an alley at 45th and Wabash. Hospital video showed the couple at the hospital the day before, and surveillance video shows the couple early the next morning. Clippard with a gun, shooting her several times. They had been dating since last summer.
When the news broke out, her family's world collapsed. The vibrant young mother they had just seen at the hospital, smiling through exhaustion, holding on to hope, was gone. The same woman who had been planning her daughter's homecoming now wouldn't make it home herself. Authorities quickly launched an investigation, and the trail led straight to 31-year-old Elijah Clippard. Surveillance footage from the hospital showed him and Crystal leaving together just before dawn. Moments after the shooting, CTA cameras captured him walking briskly through a nearby train station, alone, wearing the same clothes. Investigators used that footage, along with witness accounts, to trace his movements. Less than 48 hours after the murder, officers located and arrested Elijah Clippard at the Eden Green housing development on the far south side. Inside his apartment, police reportedly recovered clothing that matched what he wore in the footage and other items linking him to the crime. He was charged with first-degree murder and ordered held without bond.
Clippard was held without bond at a Thursday court appearance.
Yeah, she was a bright soul. Crystal, wow. I can't believe I'm even doing this right now. Crystal was an awesome person. I talked to her a couple hours right before everything had happened.
Described as a caring soul with a bright future, Crystal had acted as a homemaid to her grandparents and loved the caring arts. Her daughters, essentially parentless now, remain on oxygen, but the family is hoping they will be able to bring them home soon.
She was really happy to be a mom. She went all out. She was really proud of girls, too. That's what she really wanted, was girls. She got her dream.
None of the family members knew the alleged killer well, and they're vowing as a group to take care of little Isla in Italy and ensure they know how much their mother loved them.
My daughter was a wonderful person, and I'm going to miss her.
Well, Crystal Crockett's alleged killer is due back in court next month, and Crockett's family has set up a GoFundMe page to benefit those young twins and pay for funeral expenses.
During his arraignment on June 24th, prosecutors argued that Elijah Clippard posed an ongoing threat to public safety, citing not only the brutality of the shooting, but a documented history of emotional abuse and controlling behavior toward Crystal. Eventually, Elijah Clippard was charged and later pleaded guilty to first-degree murder. He was allegedly sentenced to 45 years and is currently serving in the Illinois Department of Corrections. For Crystal's family, the sentencing brought a measure of accountability, but no sentence could undo the pain or fill the silence left behind. At a June 27, 2021 press conference outside police headquarters, Crystal's grief-stricken family gathered to honor her spirit and demand justice. Her mother, Kylia Robinson, could barely speak through tears. Crystal's brother, Creston Robinson, recalled speaking to her just hours before the shooting, wishing now that he had done more to protect her. Her sister remembered Crystal's quiet joy, the strength she carried every day for her daughters, and the dreams she had been building. Advocate Andrew Holmes, who stood alongside the family, voiced what everyone felt. He shared that Elijah didn't just take a mother's life, he stole the future from 2 innocent little girls. Crystal had been just 2 years away from earning her nursing degree at Malcolm X College. She had dreams, not only for herself, but for the daughters she fought so hard to bring into the world. That dream she would never achieve. Meanwhile, Crystal's twin daughters remained in the NICU, growing stronger with each passing day, but they would never know the woman who had fought so fiercely to bring them into the world. The girls, born at just 24 weeks, were still fighting their own battle to survive, unaware that their world had already been changed forever. Crystal's mother and sister, though grieving, stepped into new roles overnight, not just as guardians, but as keepers of Crystal's memory. They made a vow to raise Ilya and Italy with all the love Crystal would have poured into them. They would be told who their mother was, how brave she had been, how deeply she had loved, and how her strength now lived on in them. The family has set up a GoFundMe to help cover Crystal's funeral expenses and support her twin daughters. The fundraiser quickly became a space for mourners to leave messages of love and heartbreak, strangers, friends, and community members alike sharing in their grief. Every donation was more than financial. It was a gesture of solidarity, a way to honor a life taken too soon, and to help the girls left behind grow up surrounded by the support their mother no longer could give. The case of 21-year-old Crystal Crockett is more than just a story of domestic violence. It is a warning, a cry for justice, and a plea for change. How many more women live in silence, afraid to speak, hoping things will get better? How many families must bury daughters, sisters, and mothers before someone listens? Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Here are a few more videos you might like.